Hello, everybody. Did Biden admit to voters' fraud? Well, yesterday when I was on YouTube, I was on a website about election fraudulent. And there was a clip on there that that Biden said he admit that this is a voter's fraud, and he was bragging about it. Was the Democrat U.S. presidential nominee caught red-handed, confessing to large-scale voter fraud less than 2 weeks before the election day? Hardly. This is a Snopes website. The credit goes to them. Okay. Now, here we are. Fox. It's Fox. Okay. I'm going to take that out of there. In October 2020, Joe Biden admitted to perpetrating voters' fraud. There's no question about it. There is a voters' fraud going on. Why would these people come forward to give proof and evidence that there is a voting fraud going on, and somehow the votes got stolen from Donald Trump to help Joe Biden win? The answer is false. Okay. The origin, where it came from? In the final weeks of the 2020 presidential election, the campaign of U.S. President Donald Trump claimed Democrat nominee Joe Biden had admitted to perpetrating the electoral fraud. In order to be certified for electoral voting is to have so many voters, so many counts. And Biden got 279, I think. I'm just guessing, you know. On October 24, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany tweeted out a short video clip of Biden along with the following text. Okay, Joe Biden bragged about having the most extensive voter fraud organization in history. Okay? Fox. I'm going to move my picture over here. There we go. I got a lot of things popping up on Snoop. In the video, which was originally posted by RNC Research, the Republican Party's Opposition Research Division, the former vice president can be seen saying, Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration. President Obama administration before this, we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of America politics. Now, this is really confusing, people. It's really confusing. Joe Biden bragged about having the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of America politics. I will not play this because that would be copyright infringement on me, and I saw this clip yesterday, and it made me believe that he did created the fraudulent election, and I made a video which I just deleted 2 minutes ago. It changes every time I make a video on something. It changes. The same clip was also promoted by Eric Trump, son of the president and Trump campaign surrogates, as well as Trump himself, who added, "What a terrible thing for Biden to say, a rigged election." The footage was not digitally altered, but it was stripped from its original content. That content, along with clarification provided by the Biden campaign, clearly showed that Biden did not admit or perpetrating voter fraud, but rather was referring to his campaign effort to protect the ballots of voters from what they presented as voters' intimidation and false claim to voters' fraud. Biden made the remark shown in the video during an interview with the popular left-leaning political podcast Pod Save America, and it was published on October 24, 2020. Pod Save America is hosted by Joe Ferrarizo and John Lovett, Dan Pfeiffer, and Tommy Viter, all of whom previously worked in the administration of former President Barack Obama. The relevant section of the interview can be watched below towards the end of the discussion. Pfeiffer asked Biden a two-part question. Part 1. What's your message to the folks who have not yet voted or do not have a plan to vote? And Part 2. For the folks who have already voted, 50 million Americans who have already voted, what can they do over the last 10 days to help make sure that you are the next president of the United States? In the interest of providing readers with all the relevant content, a transcript of that question and Biden response can be found here. In brief, Biden encouraged prospective voters not to be intimidated by what the cast as effort Republicans administration to suppress voting, especially by people of color. He outlined what he represented as his campaign effort to ensure the integrity of the election, including a dedicated telephone helpline backed by hundreds of attorneys offering support and advice, as well as poll watchers, and will police the election. immediately after he referred to the extensive inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. The soundbite highlighted in the RNC research, Biden said, what the president is trying to do is discourage people from voting by implying that the vote won't be counted. It can't be counted. We're going to challenge it in all these things. If enough people vote, Biden added, it will be overwhelm the system and effectively ensure that Trump purported effort to voter suppression would not be successful. Okay, here's a YouTube video. I cannot play it. It clears from watching the clip in its proper context that Biden was describing his campaign effort to combine voter suppression and intimidation as well as misinformation about the widespread perpetration of voter fraud. It would make no sense for a political candidate whose campaign was engaged in a large-scale electoral fraud to publicly say as much in those words and not the Biden was doing. Providing additional context, the Biden campaign confirmed for Snoop that he used shorthand to refer to his campaign election protection initiative, which involved educating prospective voter, countering attempt voter suppression and intimidation, having lawyers on hand to provide advice to voters whose ballot is disputed or challenged, as well as the national hotline mentioned by Biden in several similar state special hotlines. In a statement sent to Snoop, Biden campaign National Press Secretary T.J. Ducklo wrote, the President of the United States has already demonstrated he's willing to lie and manipulate our country democratic process to help himself politically, which is why we have assembled the most robust and sophisticated team in presidential campaign history to confront voter suppression and fight voter fraud, however it may present itself. The American people will decide the outcome of this election on November 3rd through the free and fair election as they always have. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it. You can go to this website. You can go to snoop.com, fact check Biden administration voter fraud. You can go to that. You can stop the video and copy that URL address and go to this website and read. I don't know. It's too extreme both ways. It's too extreme. So, website here, and it's so confusing. Every time I do a video on the voting, it changes. It changes. And then I delete my videos. And I don't know what to say. And here is the search engine, Google, Microsoft. Biden said in video he has created voter fraud. Biden admits to voter fraud video proof. Yeah, he did video proof, but he actually did not created it along with Obama, from what I read on Snopes. Joe Biden admits to vote fraud. This video was taken out. Joe Biden admits to voter fraud 2020. And that's on YouTube here. So look for it, okay? Viral post take Biden quote on vote fraud out of context. Now we just been on Snoop. We just been on Snoop. Okay? Joe Biden tout most extensive voter fraud organization. So, what to believe here? Do we believe Snoop, or do we believe that he actually created the fraud on the election? You know, it seems like it. Giuliani, through his attorney, had come up with a whole bunch of evidence that there was cheating going on in counting the mail-in votes from us citizens here. There are a lot of irregular things going on in the election. It's too overwhelming. It's a fraud in its own self, not because the two parties, the one party has created it. It's a fraudulent in its own self, and it's been going on for years. And then Donald Trump, he had to bring it up. He doesn't realize it's been going on for years. Dead people voting. The United States Postal employees, they trash the mail at the end of their shift because they can't get it to deliver in all the delivering of mail. Instead of taking it back to their station, their post office station, and take it the next day, they trash it. And along with the other mail, the mail-in ballot is mixed in there with it. And people who are moving out of one state into another state cannot let the election authority know that they have moved to another state or to another county. They should let them know if they're moving so they can, so the election people can cross their name off. Then a lot of people are using a dead person's name to vote for the president. There are other irregular things going on in the election. And I feel that the election I think the rules need to be overturned. It needs to change. It needs to be changed. Because it's just too much going on. And as far as having a suitcase full of mail-in slips, voting, that is fraudulent. They got plenty of evidence in court I see it myself, and so did you. We saw what they did in the voting place where they are counting the paper, the voting paper. And I even saw a video where two guys sitting at the table, they are taking a fresh, copied, voting slip and market for Biden. Then I saw a pile of voting slip, but like this for Biden and like this for Trump. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There is plenty evident in court. Now, why did the judge in the Supreme Court for each swing state to turn this down? Not enough evidence in court to charge the Democrat Party or somebody for fraudulent election. Now, this is, wow. It makes me feel like I cannot trust the election anymore. I did not vote in 2016, and I did not vote this year, 2020. I did not vote. I did not vote for any of the candidates. Now, I just got off the Snopes, and here is the URL website. Copy that, and then go to Snoop and read what I just read to you just now. Biden admit to voter fraud, video proof. Yeah, they got a video, they got that clip, and they don't show the rest of it, why he said it. It tells in Snoop. They just cut it right off right there and make it believe some people messages, wrong messages, taking it out of context and have them believe that Joe Biden has planned this fraudulent election. I don't know what to believe anymore. I know that the news media is not fake. They do fact check to make sure what they are telling the viewers the truth. They have to. They don't like being lied to. When the journalists go out to get a report on something to be broadcast on news, and they get lied to, they bring it back to the news station, and then they tell the broadcasting, then the broadcasting is on the news. It's not their fault. These journalists is not at fault for this. There's people lying to them. And probably they're being lied to about the fraudulent election. Now, Joe admit to voters' fraud. Viral post take Biden quote on voters' fraud out of context. That's what I was just saying. Let me go to that website and see what they said. That's what I was just saying. No, and if I ever get to it. Viral posts take out a quote on voter fraud. I'm not going to read this. It's getting too long. But you can go to this website. Social media posts shared by Eric Trump and Fox News host Celine Perrell take a quote by Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden out of context to claim he admitted to voters' fraud. And Biden was actually describing his effort to prevent voter fraud and suppression. They just cut it right off there, that video. They didn't play the rest of it. In the weeks leading up to Election Day, President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed without evidence that voter fraud is rampant, as we were reporting. And meanwhile, viral social media posts shared in late October by his son Eric Trump and others take a video clip of former Vice President Joe Biden out of context to falsely suggest Biden admitted to creating voters' fraud. Well, somebody is. So listen, like I've been telling you, the election fraud is in its own fraud. It isn't either party, it isn't Biden, it isn't Donald Trump. That's been going on for years. These fraudulent voting. People votes are not being counted. People votes are being dumped in the dumpster. People votes are not being counted. And okay, this is the repeat on another one to save America. Well, anyway, I thank you for watching. This is Elizabeth Wood, Wood Education Blog 43, saying, well, click over here on the subscribe button. I have a new subscribe icon, YouTube icon. Don't click on that one. Click on the one beneath the video and click on, and then the notification bell will come up. And there's a drop down that you have 3 choices. And you'll pick one of them. And then if you happen to like this video, click like. If you don't, click dislike. Share the video. So I thank you for watching. I'll see you here the next time on Wood Education Blog 43 on YouTube and the World Wide Web.